Tonight, we're going to be talking about the 3 hormones when in high amounts I often see with my patients creating health issues. And those 3 hormones that when they're in high amounts contribute to things that I see in my practice, such as fatigue, resistant weight loss, brain fog, poor gut health, and many more. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Brianne Callanan. I'm a naturopathic doctor practicing functional medicine, so I am all about optimization and getting to the root cause of your health issue. I am always asking why, getting to the root cause of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. I am also the creator of the Metabolic Reset Program, where we help individuals lose 20 to 40 pounds in just 6 weeks. And we do that by not focusing on the weight. Weight is not the problem. It is just a symptom of a body system becoming dysregulated. And we really need to get to the root cause, optimize all body systems for you, reset it. And the 3 hormones that are often in high amounts, the Metabolic Reset Program, that's what we're heavily focusing on. Now, I wanted to do this video from Zoom to share a statistic and a research study, but bear with me, I'll do it here. You won't be able to see my screen, but that is fine. And this research study actually showed that the probability of achieving normal weight with eating less and exercising more is 0.6%. 0.6%. We know based off of randomized clinical control trials that recommending to patients eat less, exercise more results in a success rate of 0.6. That means that 99.4% of people who take the advice of exercising more, eating less, fail. And this, I mean, we could apply these same principles to a teacher. If 99.4% of students in a classroom were to fail a test, is it the students or is it the teacher? In my opinion, this is just bad advice, and we need to shift. We need to focus on hormones. We need to focus on gut health. We need to focus on looking at the thyroid gland. What is your mindset? What is your stress like? What is your sleep? In addition to diet and movement, and oftentimes exercising is not the answer, and over-exercising really causes negative impacts on the first hormone that we're going to talk about, which is cortisol. For those of you hopping on, say hi. I can't see your comments, but I'm hoping to pull it up on my phone to check it out as we go. If you have any questions, please let me know, and let me know where you're joining from. Where are you self-quarantining from in the world? That is the chaos of my dog, cats, and children upstairs. So number 1 is cortisol. Cortisol gets a bad rap. Cortisol is our stress hormone. Yes, we don't want high cortisol at the wrong times, but we do need high cortisol in the morning. That's what gives us energy to get out of bed, breaks down our fat tissues for energy, and there's been some association with a nice healthy cortisol rise in protecting from things like autoimmune disease. So we have to have high levels of cortisol rise in the appropriate amount in the morning, and then we need it to fall at the end. If you have chronic stress, and it doesn't matter if it's perceived stress in your environment, stress from the foods you're eating, stress from poor gut health, stress from lack of sleep, stress from being exposed to crazy blue lights in the middle, later on in the day when we shouldn't be exposed to it. It doesn't matter what the stress is, that's going to raise your cortisol levels. You pair on waking up in the middle of the night around 3 to 4 a.m., then trying to do some exercise, you are not going to be doing your body a favor if you're looking to have a lean body composition, because what cortisol does when you're pushing it too much, when you're not sleeping, when you're over exercising, up goes your cortisol. Cortisol actually breaks down muscle in your extremities. If you don't have as much muscle, your basal metabolic rate, or your metabolism, or the amount of calories that you burn at rest, is going to go down. In addition, cortisol causes fat storage around the midsection. We don't want that. We know that weight around the midsection is a positive correlation to chronic disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, heart disease. We don't want to be storing weight around the midsection. So first we need to address cortisol. You can address cortisol, 1, by lifestyle. Make sure that you are not dehydrated. That is a stress on our body. Make sure to be consuming an anti-inflammatory diet. Remove the alcohol, remove the sugar, or at least reduce it as much as possible, as well as eliminating many of those key inflammatory foods, such as sugar, gluten, dairy, etc. In the Metabolic Reset Program, what we do is we figure out by tracking you each and every day what your unique food triggers are, because my unique food triggers might not be the same as yours. They likely are not the same as yours. So the first one is cortisol. Metabolic Reset Program, I actually recommend removing all exercise. And this causes a little bit of a, whoa, what do you mean I have to stop exercising in order to lose weight? And I say, trust in the process. It works. We don't want to be over exercising. You do not need to exercise for a lean body composition. You want to exercise for the mental clarity. You want to exercise for the cardiovascular benefits, the bone benefits, the lean, healthy mass benefits. That's what exercise is for. It's not for weight loss. So in the Metabolic Reset program, we pull everybody off exercise for 6 weeks. We don't pull off moving. You can still move, go for a walk, do yoga, meditation, but really lowering the stress in the body with an anti-inflammatory diet, slowing down the movement, making sure to drink water, and making sure that you're getting adequate sleep each and every night. Prioritize going to sleep. There's so much research on sleep, longevity, body composition, brain function, etc. So that was cortisol. The second hormone that I often see elevated in those who are struggling with weight loss resistance is insulin. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. We know from animal models and human trials that when you inject someone with insulin, their weight goes up. Insulin signals to the body to store weight. So what we need to do is we need to reduce your overall insulin load. Now, what happens is, unfortunately, due to lifestyle habits, chronic stress, poor nutritional strategies, eating fast food, not exercising, glucose goes up, so that's blood sugar, but so does your insulin. And over time, your body becomes resistant to insulin and stops responding. So the first step is we need to get that insulin down and correct the insulin resistance. Now, every client or patient that comes to work with us, we pinpoint what the correct issue is. And if insulin's coming up as a big issue, then we customize the program for you to heavily focus on insulin. And we're using key nutritional strategies, but also supplementation to do so. And one of the ones that you might want to consider that I often use a lot in my practice is berberine for insulin resistance and high levels of insulin. Now, taking berberine in the absence of a healthy whole foods diet is not going to do anything. You need to make sure that you pair the supplements with your nutrition. To get insulin down, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting does not mean limiting your calories. It just means compressing all the foods that you eat in a shorter feeding window. I recommend everyone try out an 8-hour window. So fast for 16 hours, condense into an 8-hour window. And once a week on a Monday, we call it Metabolic Monday, I do a 24-hour fast. So it's dinner to dinner. Check out more of my blogs. I'll post them in the comments below of all the benefits of intermittent fasting. One of the main benefits in terms of resistant weight loss is lowering the insulin resistance. You also want to be cautious with the amount of sugars as well as the amount of carbohydrates in your diet if you are insulin resistant. This does not mean that carbohydrates are not important, and it does not mean that post-metabolic reset, you can't consume carbohydrates. It's just the reality of if your blood is showing that you have insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, for a period of time, we have to pull down that insulin. We have to pull down that cortisol, reset the system so that you are able to get away with more foods after we cycle those carbohydrates back in. The last one that I often see high for individuals, especially women who are storing weight in their lower halves, hamstrings, quads, buttocks, is estrogen. Estrogen, when in high amounts, causes estrogen receptor or estrogen tissues with receptors for estrogen to grow. So that's what gives women our curvature. We have estrogen receptors in our breasts, so we have larger breasts than men. We have estrogen receptors in our legs, so that gives us our curvature. But we don't want estrogen too high because that's going to stimulate those receptors in the adipose tissues to grow. So what we want to consider is, okay, why? It's always going back to the question of why. Why is that estrogen high? Is it because you have estrogen exposures, right? So your environmental exposures, whether it's plastics, be very mindful of the skincare that you are using. In order to use hormone replacement therapy, if you've ever seen the amount of cream that someone is using who's on hormone replacement therapy, it is small. So a very small amount of hormone replacement therapy cream can change your blood levels. Now think if you're taking a cream that's poor quality, that has chemicals in it that resembles estrogen, you're putting it all over your body. It's not going to be helpful for you. Watch your pans, watch your drinking water, watch that you're consuming high quality grass-fed, grass-finished red meat would be a best recommendation there, as well as we need to look at if it's not the environment, if your environment's clean, then is it coming from adipose tissue? So if you have more adipose or fat tissue, that's metabolically active. That's going to be overproducing more estrogen. You pair that with a sluggish liver where your detox pathways aren't well supported, then that extra estrogen can't get detoxified. So the first step is estrogens goes through phase 1, phase 2 in the liver, secreted into the bowels to be eliminated. We have to push those detox pathways. Some people get jammed. Their phase 1 is very good, and then they can't do the phase 2. So in the metabolic reset program, if you have your genetics, you run your 23andMe, we put into a system, we figure out where you are and we customize it for you. If you don't have it, most clients that I see have a fine phase 1 and a sluggish phase 2. We optimize that phase 2. That'll help clear out the extra estrogens that may be existing for you. In addition, we also have to consider that once estrogens and hormones and toxins go through phase 1 and phase 2, they're secreted into the bowels. Now, if you have the wrong type of gut bacteria that are overproducing an enzyme called beta-glucuronidase, that estrogen is being recycled again and has to go through the entire process. So that's why we have to look at not just the liver, not just the hormones, but also the gut health, making sure that once those hormones and toxins are detoxified, I don't want them recycling to have to go through it again. So we use specific probiotics to help lower that. In addition, there's really cool rat studies where they have an obese rat, they take its feces, transfer it into a lean rat, and then no change in diet, no change in exercise, that lean rat now becomes obese. And this has to do with the ratio. It's called the FB ratio, or the Firmicutes Bacteroides ratio. And this is just the ratio of bacteria that look like this versus the bacteria that look like this. And if that's high, you are more likely to absorb more calories from the foods you eat. You are more insulin resistant. So anytime you put a carbohydrate in your mouth, the scale goes up, which is not normal. You feel sluggish, you feel hangry. Post carbohydrates, you feel tired. Not normal. You should be able to consume carbohydrates and feel energized. So we use specific probiotics and specific prebiotics to get that ratio as low as possible so you can get away with eating more of the foods that you want to eat, as well as when you consume those foods, your body utilizes it as energy versus storing it as fat. Lots of people who are struggling with resistant weight loss, they're truly hungry. They are metabolically hungry because their bodies can't tap into the stored fat cells. If we can get you tapping into your stored fat cells, you're not hungry, your blood sugar remains stable because your insulin's better, your cortisol's better. It really is looking at everything. So those are the 3 that I wanted to focus on. And of course, there's other ones such as thyroid that would play a part in it. But the thing about thyroid is always ask the question, why? If you have a sluggish thyroid, is it because you have elevated antibodies and your immune system's attacking your thyroid? Why is that? Is there a genetic predisposition? Fine. What's the environment that's causing it? What is your gut health? Do you have gut infections that's triggering it as well? If it's not the autoimmune Hashimoto's, so your immune system's attacking your thyroid and that's why the function's going down, well, there are key nutrients that are needed to support the thyroid. Iron, vitamin D are big ones. So if you have low iron, low vitamin D, selenium's big too, then your thyroid can't work properly. You don't need to just slap on a medication right away. Support those key nutrients that the thyroid needs to work optimally, and then you'll be good to go. I really did want to share a before and after of some lab work I got back after 6 weeks of the metabolic reset program that was customized, but I'm not going to be able to share my screen, but I'm just going to give you a couple highlights here. Number 1, TSH, which is the brain signal to the thyroid. That's for thyroid. It needs to be as low as possible. Went from 4.08 to 2.99. Still not optimal. We're working on it, but that's a really big improvement. Hemoglobin A1C, a marker of blood sugar regulation. This individual was in the pre-diabetic range. Through committing to diet, exercise, berberine, key supplementation, there was actually no exercise. Diet, key supplementation, now they're going into exercise. He's reduced his risk, so he's no longer at risk of diabetes. And this cholesterol panel, I have never seen a cholesterol panel change this significantly with nutrition and key supplementation. So that's why I really wanted to change it, or wanted to show you guys, but I'm still blown away. I'm like calling this patient, I'm like, what did you take? So I took everything you told me. I'm like, okay, but how did you take it? Because I know what we do as naturopaths. It produces profound results. I know it works, but when you see the before and after in just 6 weeks and it's that profound, it's like, sometimes you do a double take, but really, really great results when you can focus on a holistic approach, know your numbers, do some testing if you can. If you can do a stool test, you can see where your nutrients are, you can run some blood work. That will give you a great foundation to figure out exactly what's going on with you and what needs to be treated. And that's why I'm so passionate about the Metabolic Reset program. You cannot tell somebody to eat less and exercise more. 99 point, whatever that stat was, high. Like, you have a 0.6% success rate with that. If you are being told to eat less and exercise more and your hormones are all out of whack and you have crazy hunger and cravings and brain fog and you're not sleeping and you're not feeling well, it's not going to work. So really look at the root cause, get your cortisol in check, make sure estrogen's not high, and support a healthy insulin response post meals. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Those are the 3 that have been coming up and up and up for the patients and clients that we're seeing recently. So those are the 3 I wanted to focus on. Next video, we'll probably dive a little bit deeper into gut health and thyroid and how those are connected, just to give you guys a little bit more education. If you're looking for more resources or nutrition plans to get you started, come on over to the Wildside community group on Facebook. That's absolutely free. We post a lot of valuable content on there. I'll also post a link to my Instagram. We do a lot on there too, educational stuff. And if you guys have any recommendations of topics that I can cover to support you on your unique health journey, let me know. I am happy to create more content for you guys. So nice to see you all. Ontario. Ancestry. So the Ancestry, you're referring to the 23andMe genetics. In order to get the raw data that we put into the other software, you need the health and ancestry data. Just the Ancestry is not going to cut it. Woo, Poland. Yes, very cool. Sleep. Awesome. Amazing. Walk. Trainer Joe. Walk. I'm sitting. Do you mean, do I tell clients to go for walks? I love movement, yoga, walking. And this is not to say that, I mean, I would love my clients to do exercise and maintenance. There is no obligation. No, you don't have to do any type of exercise. But I would encourage, and I do encourage every single client to find some form of movement and exercise that they really enjoy. If you are chronically stressed and you don't enjoy the exercise you're doing and it's creating more stress, it's not going to work for you. So find something that you really enjoy. I love doing short little hits training, but if I haven't slept or I'm feeling very tired and I haven't properly nourished my body with key nutrients, I'm not going to do it. 1, because it's not going to make me feel good. I'm going to be resentful and moody at the fact that I have to do it, and I'm increasing my risk of injury. So on days like that, I might consider doing just going for a walk or doing some weight training or doing yoga or meditation, something like that. So it really depends on, exercise should be used in the right amount for the right duration for the right reasons, and knowing where you are and where you fall into that. And yeah, pick your favorite. Meditation, I guess meditation is not really a form of movement, but yoga definitely is. Yoga's good. Walking, you can do. I have some clients that are really resistant when I say no exercise, and it's normally the trainers. It's normally the trainers and the fitness instructors that they're like, what do you mean I can't exercise for 6 weeks? I have had clients do light resistance training because they absolutely love it. It brings them joy and it de-stresses them, and it's their way to build community and they love it. That is completely different than someone who hasn't slept and dragging themselves into the gym, not right now, but their home gym. And they just don't enjoy it. They don't feel good after, and they're sluggish after, and their muscles are really sore. That's a completely different story on the exercise. Yeah, so if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I'm going to go see what the family has destroyed potentially upstairs. I heard some loud bangs. So anyways, guys, hope that was helpful for you. We will talk soon.